come to order. Without objection, all members may have 5 days to submit statements, questions, extraneous materials for the record, subject to the length limitation in the rules. Israel is our great friend and ally. For over 50 years, the United States and Israeli leaders have been close friends. Our common values of democracy and liberty unite us, among other things. This administration sometimes forgets this. Be it the Iranian nuclear program or pressuring Israel over peace talks with the Palestinians, our recent policies have damaged our relationship. I was in Israel not too long ago, and I met with Prime Minister Netanyahu when Secretary Kerry came down with the deal, the bad deal, as Prime Minister Netanyahu referred to it. We let Iran walk all over us. At the end of the day, we weakened sanctions in exchange for allowing Iran to continue to develop nuclear weapons. In my opinion, the United States gave away the farm and the mineral rights in this bad deal. The threats against our good friend Israel are growing. The point of this hearing is to examine 3 issues. First, the issue of European countries boycotting Israeli businesses that are in the settlement areas. Make no mistake, this is a political move, not an economic move. Some European countries don't like Israeli settlements, so they're trying to shut them down by not buying any goods from Israel. The European Union is Israel's #1 trading partner to the tune of about 1/3 in total trade. If EU countries turn the heat on boycotts, it could have dire consequences for the Israeli economy. In January, a $200 billion Dutch pension firm divested from 5 top Israeli banks. In January, Germany announced that it would not renew research grants to Israeli companies that do business over the Green Line. I fear this is an intentional move to pressure the Israelis to give ground, literally give ground, in peace talks with the Palestinians. But boycotting goods is the wrong way to get peace. All issues, including the settlement issue, need to be solved at the negotiating table with the Palestinians. These boycotts will only strengthen the Palestinian hand and make them less likely to agree to peace. The peace talks, in my opinion, are useless unless the Palestinians agree at the outset and say publicly and believe it that Israel has a right to exist as a nation. The second issue on this hearing is the Palestinian Authority giving bags of money to convicted terrorists in Israeli prisons. Right now, there are over 4,500 Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails, most of them serving time for terrorism-related crimes. Many of these terrorists receive a salary directly from the Palestinian Authority. Monthly salaries range from $500 to $3,500. The more serious the crime, the more dead Israelis or Americans, the more money the Palestinians in jail receive. In Palestine, being a terrorist is one of the best paying jobs. According to some estimates, the Palestinian Authority spends $4 to $7 million per month on this program, which is about 6% of the budget. One terrorist, Hosni Najjar, explained to Israeli police after his capture that he planned a terror attack in order to be captured so he could receive money from the Palestinian Authority. Now, isn't that lovely? Here's the real problem. The United States gave $440 million in fiscal year 2013 to the Palestinian Authority. We all know that money is fungible. The more money we give to help them with these job programs, the more money the Palestinian Authority has to pay terrorists. U.S. taxpayer money should not be paying and rewarding Palestinian terrorists for doing harm and killing Israelis and Americans. I'm also finally concerned about the lack of justice for American victims in terrorist attacks that occur in Israel. At least 54 Americans have been killed by Palestinian terror attacks since 1993. Another 83 have been seriously wounded. Some perpetrators of these attacks have never been brought to justice. Some have served limited sentences, and then they were released. The FBI could be doing more to track down these killers and bring them to the United States to stand trial. I think the United States government owes that to the victims of these deadly attacks. Victims of these attacks are also seeking justice through U.S. courts. The defendants are the Palestinian Authority and numerous foreign banks who are accused of funneling money to Palestinian terrorists. In one case, which we will hear more about today, a Jordanian bank is accused of laundering $90 million to Hamas through over 200,000 separate transactions. That's a lot of money, and it buys a lot of terror. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses and what they have to say today, and now move to our ranking member, Mr. Sherman from California, for his remarks.